Have you ever noticed how some men seem to have this quiet power about them? They don't talk too much, they don't chase, and they don't overreact. But somehow, women can't stop thinking about them. There's something magnetic about a man who stays calm when everyone else is losing control. A man who doesn't get pulled into emotional chaos. That man stands out. That's the man she falls for. Not because he's playing games, but because his silence, his composure, speaks louder than words ever could. In the world of modern dating, reacting has become the default. You text her, she takes hours to reply, and suddenly your mind starts racing. You wonder if she's losing interest, if you said something wrong, or if someone else has her attention. You start overthinking, maybe even double texting, trying to fix something that isn't even broken. That's where most men lose their power. Because the moment you start reacting emotionally, you give away your control. You hand her your peace, your dignity, and your presence, all because of one emotional impulse. But when you don't react, when you stay calm, centered, and unbothered, something incredible happens. She starts to feel your strength. She senses that you're different. She realizes that you're not desperate for validation, and that realization creates attraction. Because women are emotional creatures, they feel more than they think. When a man doesn't react, it triggers something deep inside her. She starts to question why you're not chasing, why you're not begging, why you're not losing your mind like the rest. That curiosity slowly turns into respect. And that respect becomes attraction. Think about it. When a woman tests you, ignores you, or pulls away, she's not always doing it to hurt you. Sometimes she's testing your emotional strength. She wants to see if you can handle her storms without losing your center. Because deep down, every woman wants a man who can handle her emotions, not one who adds more chaos. When you remain calm in the middle of her emotional storm, she subconsciously feels safe with you. You become her anchor, her stability, the one she knows won't fall apart when things get intense. Now, let's go a bit deeper. There's a reason why emotional control is so powerful in attraction. When you don't react, you communicate that your value doesn't depend on her behavior. You're not giving her the power to define your worth. That's rare and extremely attractive. Most men are so quick to prove themselves, to fix, to chase. But the man who doesn't react shows that he doesn't need approval. He's already complete within himself. And that kind of confidence, the quiet kind, is what drives women crazy. Imagine this. She tries to make you jealous by mentioning another guy. She expects you to react, to get angry, to argue. But instead, you just smile. Not a fake one, but the kind that says, "I'm not threatened." You stay composed, maybe even change the topic. At that moment, she loses control, because her plan to get an emotional reaction from you backfired. Now she's the one thinking about you. Now she's wondering why you're so calm, what's going on in your head, why she couldn't shake your peace. That's the moment she starts to fall. Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't. There's a certain mystery in not reacting. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability creates fascination. When she can't read you easily, she starts to invest emotionally. She starts to think about you more. She replays your words, your silence, your subtle gestures. That's how emotional attraction builds. Not through constant texting or reassurance, but through space and energy. When you don't react, You give her the space to feel your absence, to think, to crave your attention. But let's make one thing clear. Not reacting doesn't mean ignoring or being cold. It means controlling your emotions and responding with intention. It's about mastering the space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. A man who doesn't react still feels emotions. He just doesn't let those emotions control him. He knows that anger, jealousy, and insecurity are temporary waves that pass, and instead of drowning in them, he stays still, grounded. That emotional stillness is what makes a woman feel safe. Women are naturally drawn to men who make them feel emotionally secure, and security doesn't come from money, looks, or fancy gestures. It comes from emotional stability. When she sees that you can stay calm, even when she's being distant, she starts to trust you. She realizes that you're not like the others. You're not the type to beg or argue. You're the type to walk away with your peace intact. And that quiet confidence is far more seductive than any compliment or romantic line. Sometimes your lack of reaction will confuse her. She might test you even more. She might try to push your buttons to see if you're real, if your calmness is genuine or just an act. That's the moment when most men break. But if you can hold your ground, if you can stay calm, even when it feels uncomfortable, that's when you earn her respect. And once a woman respects you, love follows naturally, because attraction without respect doesn't last. But when she respects your emotional strength, she falls deeply. Now, here's something most men don't realize. Reacting too much doesn't just show weakness, it kills attraction. When you argue, beg, or try to prove yourself, you're feeding her ego but starving her desire. She might like the attention for a while, but eventually she'll lose interest because you've shown her that she controls your emotions. The moment she realizes she can control how you feel, she subconsciously loses interest. But when she can't predict your reaction, when you're emotionally steady and grounded, she becomes emotionally invested. She starts chasing that stability, that balance you bring. In every relationship, there will be moments when your patience is tested, when she says something hurtful, when she ignores your calls, when she acts cold or distant. Those moments are your true test. If you react emotionally, you lose your power. But if you stay calm, if you show that your peace can't be taken so easily, she'll see you differently. She'll see you as a man who doesn't get shaken by emotions. And that's the man she respects, admires, and eventually falls in love with. There's a quiet beauty in restraint, in not reacting immediately, in observing rather than exploding. When you stay composed, you give yourself time to see things clearly. You stop making decisions from insecurity and start making them from strength. That shift changes everything, not just in relationships, but in life. The man who controls his reactions controls his reality. Sometimes the best response is no response, because silence carries a message words can't. When you stay silent, you show that you're not desperate for attention. You're showing emotional maturity. And that silence often makes more noise than any argument ever could. Women fall for that kind of energy, not the one that chases, but the one that attracts naturally. When you're calm, confident, and centered, you become the safe space she didn't even know she needed. You become her peace in a chaotic world. She may not say it out loud, but deep down, she starts to feel drawn to you, to your silence, your strength, and your emotional maturity. Remember, the goal isn't to play games or manipulate emotions. The goal is to master yourself, to rise above the constant noise of insecurity and fear, because when you master the art of not reacting, you reclaim your power. You stop being controlled by situations, by people, by emotions, and that's what makes you magnetic. The man who doesn't react isn't emotionless. He simply chooses peace over chaos. He knows that love isn't about control, it's about balance. He knows that real strength isn't in shouting louder, but in staying silent when the world expects you to break. And that kind of strength, that quiet, powerful energy, is what women truly fall for. So the next time she tests you, the next time she pulls away or goes silent, don't panic, don't chase, don't react. Just breathe. Let your silence speak. Because if she truly values you, she'll feel that energy. She'll sense your calmness, your peace, and she'll be drawn back to it like gravity. That's the paradox of attraction. When you stop reacting, she starts responding. And if you've ever wondered what makes a man truly irresistible, it's not the looks, not the money, not the fancy words. It's emotional control. It's that calm confidence that says, I know my worth, and I won't lose myself trying to prove it. When you live like that, when you carry that energy, she can't help but fall. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel safe. And the man who doesn't react is the man who gives her that safety. So, my friend, don't fight for attention. Don't prove your value. Don't let emotions dictate your behavior. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay focused on your peace. Because when you master the art of not reacting, you don't just win her heart, you win your life back. And that is the ultimate victory.